Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to break down a fantastic source text from Discipleship with Aim. You know, if you're a teen or young adult and you're feeling like your spiritual routines have just gotten, well, kind of stale, this is for you. We're going to see how the text maps out shifting your prayer life from a transactional habit into a vibrant, lasting friendship. Let's unpack these takeaways and visually map out how to build something way deeper.
Okay, let's dive into this with a great scenario the source gives us about building a lasting friendship. Imagine, if you will, a trusted mentor or your absolute best friend says, "Hey, call me anytime." But you only ever text them when you need a huge favor. You never reach out just to chat or vent or say thanks. Eventually, that relationship turns super thin and, frankly, one-sided. The text points out that we often do the exact same thing with prayer. We treat God literally like a 911 emergency line instead of keeping an open, two-way line of real friendship.
Which brings us to Section 1, the Lord's Prayer Blueprint, moving beyond the wish list.
So to move past that whole 911 mindset, the text points us right to Matthew chapter 6. Here, Jesus provides this incredibly clear step-by-step blueprint, the Lord's Prayer. It's actually a perfect way to start a weekly prayer routine checklist. Now, what's really interesting about this is the specific order. First up is worship, hallowed be your name. Then surrender. Third is dependence. And only after all of that do we get to confession and asking for protection. It completely flips the script. Honoring who God is comes way before we ask for what we need.
And that brings us to this massive takeaway from the teaching. Asking for stuff comes after honoring who God is. Now, the source makes it super clear that this isn't some rigid, legalistic formula. Not at all. It's really the ultimate foundation for a healthy friendship. I mean, just like you would acknowledge your best friend before begging them for a huge favor, right? This approach builds a real relational dynamic, rather than just handing over a one-sided wish list.
Moving right along to Section 2, Persistence as Partnership, the Parable of the Widow.
Here, the text brings up the awesome parable of a persistent widow who just keeps showing up demanding justice from an unjust judge. But it notes a really common misconception here. The point isn't that God is this reluctant judge you have to constantly annoy to get what you want. No way. Rather, persistence in prayer isn't bothering God, it's actually partnering with Him. Keeping that line of communication open every single day is an active, ongoing investment in the friendship.
All right, let's look at Section 3, the art of honest lament, raw prayers from the Psalms.
You know, building a truly lasting friendship requires deep vulnerability. It just does. And the source text points us right to the Psalms of Lament, like Psalms 3, 6, 13, 22, 51, and 88, written by ancient figures like David. Now, these are definitely not your typical upbeat expressions of gratitude. They are raw, gritty, honest prayers. If you're a young person looking to start a prayer journal, the text suggests using these exact chapters as a guide. Start by writing down your deep pain, move through that raw honesty, and only after processing all of that, arrive at trust.
This completely flips how so many of us view spirituality. There's often this huge pressure to put on a brave face, right? We fear that complaining means we're doing prayer wrong. But the text argues something so powerful. Expressing pain before expressing trust isn't weak faith, it's real faith. Telling God, hey, this hurts right now, actually demonstrates that you have enough trust in the relationship to be completely authentic.
And the text offers such a comforting reminder here, especially for young people who are so used to the constant pressure of performing. It says, God can handle your honesty far better than your performance. Just let that sink in. True intimacy is built entirely on vulnerability, not on having the absolute perfect vocabulary.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 4, overcoming your prayer distractions, keeping the line open.
To really put all of this into practice, the source poses a super direct reflection question, especially for youth looking at their own daily habits. Ask yourself, what stops you from praying consistently? Like, what specifically distracts you during your day that makes you default right back to that 911 only mindset?
The text actually highlights 3 incredibly common roadblocks: daily distractions, guilt over feeling like you're doing it wrong, and that frustrating feeling like nothing is changing, like you're just talking to a brick wall. To combat these, the materials suggest building a simple daily prayer plan. It absolutely doesn't require hours of your time. It just requires the commitment to keep trying.
So the crucial point is that the fix for a stagnant prayer life isn't some sudden magical spiritual perfection, it's literally just showing up. Think back to that persistent widow we talked about. When you're distracted or feeling guilty, the goal is just to return to the open line. The text inspires this awesome 10-minute daily prayer habit challenge.
Seriously, for just 10 minutes a day, step through the blueprint. Say hello, be honest, and just show up.
Which leaves us with this incredible final thought from Discipleship with Amy. Bring your honest heart, not your polished one. The text absolutely challenges us to drop that whole 911 call mentality once and for all. So what does this all mean for you? Are you going to keep waiting for an emergency to strike? Or are you ready to pick up the phone right now because the line is always open and a real conversation is waiting? Thank you so much for joining this explainer of Discipleship with Amy. Keep learning, keep showing up, and we'll see you next time.